Okay, so welcome back to this week's random article, sports article that we found. This one is Romanian who won 2012 silver after cover-up, report says. So I saw this yesterday. I actually saw that Seb did his new show on it, so Thomas out of the Olympics, but he also covered some of this. So go check it out there. I think the dude, Brian Oliver, not to be confused with Jamie Oliver, both are British people.
Yes.
But Brian Oliver is either the owner or one of the editors for weightlifting for InsideTheGames.com, which everyone kind of would know. I think he might own that and run it.
Inside the Games is a great resource.
And Brian, not a weightlifter himself and never involved in weightlifting, but he's the last few years has taken a shine to it via reporting.
Okay.
Well, there's loads of gold in reporting, to be fair, in weightlifting. Yeah. If you went after it,
if you want scandal, it's the place to be.
Like if you serious sports journalists would benefit from joining weightlifting.
Yeah.
I don't know if weightlifting would benefit from sports journalists joining it though, because it might highlight the scandals.
No.
So
the last thing you want is David McWilliams.
Yes.
Getting his teeth into it.
Yes. Yeah, getting into the fucking...
Yeah.
But this is from Sean Ingle anyway on the Guardian. So it's basically the weightlifter Roxana Kokas won but stripped of medal. Officials committed intentional acts or omissions.
Horror.
Shocking that any international weightlifting federation members would commit any form of corruption or something. Yeah. Have you noticed how viral Laurel Herbert's thing has gone?
Oh my god, it's gone crazy, isn't it?
James Smith has done it.
Yeah.
Awaken with JP. The guy with long hair. He used to do those skits, long red hair.
No.
The American, you'd know him if you saw him. He did a video on it.
News Talk.
Yeah.
It's
gone everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
I
suppose it is like there's an ad for an article on the bottom of our screen here.
Yeah.
It's gone so widespread because it's just the ramifications are obviously huge outside of weightlifting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Laurel is obviously going to get caught up in something here now, and her face is going to be what's used.
Yes.
As the kind of as the evil villain. But obviously the ramifications fall for all of high-level sport and certainly for all the Olympic sports afterwards.
The thing I didn't realise actually was I thought it was down to the IOC who set the mandate for who could compete, but it's actually the individual sports are their own discretion for picking apparently. So fuck the IWF.
Yeah. No,
so I was wrong because I defended them in that video I did with Seb and Zach, but I'm wrong. I was wrong.
Yeah. Any bad comings that could come across the IWF, I think, are a good thing.
Yeah.
Joe,
So, back on topic to this particular article, right? So, it's a Romanian weightlifter who won silver at the London 2012 Olympics was intentionally allowed to compete at the Games despite being suspended for using steroids in weightlifting.
No way.
And substituting her urine to avoid a positive doping test, an investigation found. The investigation by the International Testing Agency, the former International Weightlifting Federation President Thomas Ajan, and the current IWF Vice President Nicu Vlad, who leads the Romanian Federation, committed intentional acts or omissions to allow Roxana to compete in the 69 kilo class in London. Both men have been charged with anti-doping rule violations. Kokas was stripped of her medal last year. So Nicu Vlad, it upsets me so much because he was one of the best weightlifters ever. Technical models, phenomenal, such good technique. One of the best ever.
Yeah. Full stop.
He coached Gabriel at some point, or for a lot of Gabriel's career. I think Gabriel called him his coach. It's so disappointing to see.
Yeah, that he got caught up in that.
But there's no reason to, there's no reason not to think that elite athletes aren't a piece of shit. There's no reason to kind of
absolutely, yeah. Just because they're a phenomenal athlete doesn't mean they wouldn't be in some way corrupt.
Yeah. So obviously Nicu is just. When you look at it from their point of view, they're like, look, everyone else is doing this, we've got to win. And they're right, he is right. But I suppose that doesn't really defend their actions, does it?
No. And the disappointing thing is, Thomas Ajan, everyone knows now at this point. Mm-hmm. It's like, he's like a mob character, Mm-hmm. He'll show up, his name is in every single one of these articles you'll read. He's in every single expose, even though most of the stuff has been exposed now. But when you see someone like Nicu, you're like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, surely there's some... is there nobody left untarnished?
He had that thing as well. Remember when they kicked out after Ajan gone, and they, kicked out the American woman, Ursula, I think.
Yeah.
But... So by intentionally failing to implement Miss Coca's provisional suspension, the two IWF officials allowed one of Romania's top-ranked international athletes to participate in the London Games despite a clear and undisputed evidence of her having resorted to urine substitution and having used anabolic steroids in the lead up to the Olympic Games. In light of the foregoing, the ITA asserted anti-doping rule violations against Mr. Asian and Mr. Vlad for tampering and complicity in the multiple ADRVs committed by Miss Cocas. So I wonder, is this like a new dawn? Is this really Weightlifting Day with the ITA doing stuff? So we saw Dimitri Chumak a few weeks ago getting nabbed for the attempted bribery and not providing a sample, and then we have this happening. Although this happened last year, or she was stripped of her medal, but I wonder there's a report only coming out now. So the ITA are something that were set up differently from WADA.
Yeah,
because everyone is fairly aware that WADA is incredibly corrupt as well, and it also seems to have no leg to stand on in terms of like being an effective.
It's a dog
agent.
with no teeth. Like,
yeah,
Joe doesn't seem to like WADA is the institution for drug testing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yet we see, like, on multiple instances, even in the last 24 months, where WADA have been found to be either complicit in a cover-up,
yeah,
or directly involved with a cover-up, or else there's been a load of cover-ups going on for years that they weren't able to stop.
yeah.
Which is pretty crazy, like, for the athletes in this case, right? Which, to be honest, is the only people. Like, I love the whole mobster mentality thing. Like, that's what makes these articles interesting to read.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of for athletes, there's going to be a decade here where this sort of stuff keeps coming out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, the only way I think about it is, it's like when drink driving is like now banned in Ireland, yet there's people of like our father's generation.
No, it is banned. It's not banned. It is banned.
No, sorry, it's fully banned.
Yeah.
Completely.
Don't begin, like,
it's completely wrong.
You
right?
don't need to perpetuate that stereotype any further with people, right?
Anyway,
Banned.
fully banned, zero tolerance.
You're saying it like it's
banned. But anyway, fully banned, zero tolerance. You lose your license if you've more than half a beer. Yeah. But there's still people of like our father's generation who will regularly drink and drive because even though the police are on the roads, they have
not our fathers, by the way.
No, Jesus, definitely.
Your language,
not.
with the language here, Fitz. Like, do you want to try this again and be a bit clearer? Like,
right, I'll try it again.
No, I'm gonna leave that in though. There's
but
people
anyway,
our father's age or older who
yeah.
would have done that.
Yeah, and are still doing it now.
Are you drunk right now?
But are still doing it now, right? And these are the people in the news every single week who they're the extra 50 people who've just been prosecuted for drink driving.
Mm-hmm.
Yet the rhetoric doesn't change.
Yes.
Like, there's pubs up and down the country rammed full of people, and a proportion of those people will drive home after taking a drink.
Mm-hmm.
And it just seems as though the athletes are caught in the same thing, you know?
Yes.
Where, like, no, what do you mean I can't give you a bribe? I've been bribing you for the last 10 years. Why can't I bribe you now? And that's the unfortunate thing, is like, that's how they've been brought up. Obviously, you need to make sport clean. Obviously, you need to be working towards a better system. But they're now caught up in a system whereby everything they've previously done doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. So the ITA was hampered by the depth and breadth of the IWF's past years of inaction, which resulted in 29 unsanctioned doping violations being impossible to prosecute due to statute of limitation or just outright destruction of evidence. The reason why these cases were unprocessed or unsanctioned range from mere administrative oversight, poor record keeping, chaotic organisational process or jurisdictional errors to indifference, outright negligence, or at worst, blatant and intentional cover-ups. The IWF said it was fully committed to implementing sanctions levelled against former current officials by the ITA. Michael O'Rani, so he's the British dude. I'm appalled by what is asserted to have been complete betrayal of weightlifting and weightlifters by those who've been entrusted with the sport's leadership. Like what I said when Dimitri Chumac's thing came out there, I was like, so if you're looking at that at face value, you'd be like, oh my god, Dimitri Chumac tried to bribe them and wouldn't take the money. But what also happened, because it is so corrupt and everything is so fucked up, that it's equally as possible that they were literally out to get Dimitri Chumak. Now, I'm not saying Dimitri Chumak wasn't taking gear, because but what I am saying, that situation might literally never have happened. They might have been literally like, right, we need to get Dimitri Chumak for whatever corruption reason. He might not have paid enough money for bribery. Anything could have happened there. But it's so funny because you have no idea if Dimitri Chumak is actually telling the truth for that one situation where it could have been that literally never happened, and he didn't try and bribe them on that occasion that they're reporting that happened. But it's so corrupt that it's impossible to tell which way it's blowing, you know.
That's the confusing thing about the landscape right now, as well as like there's half a dozen to a dozen different modalities where people are passing tests, whether that's like substituting urine, putting something into your urine to get rid of metabolites, or just corrupting the sample, bribing the official who's actually taking your sample, bribing your own federation or the international federation so your sample isn't taken in the first place. Then there's things after a positive. So there's all these different modalities that people are getting past tests. And obviously there's like the chemical modality where they take urine, they come off and it doesn't show up in a test.
Yes.
But when you're reading the article, we've no idea. We don't know. Like, nobody has any idea. The athletes themselves probably don't have any idea, because they're probably working with a doctor who's telling them some X, Y, and Z will be out of their system. They might be taking a compound that will be out of their system, and then they get popped.
Yes.
And in that case, they mightn't have been able to pay the blood money to the IWF or whoever.
The blood bunny.
The blood bunnies. Playing the IWF and blood bunnies.
Yes. Filling up a bunny full of blood and money and being like, here's your blood bunny.
Here's your blood bunny.
I just want to see if she was what kind of lifting. I can't remember what her style of lifting was like. So like, this is how deep does the corruption go, I suppose, is the issue with this. It seems like weightlifting of all sports, from what we've seen, they were like less on intelligent drug taking and more on just bribing. So which is so much easier. So if you were like, if I pay you, this test will never have been taken, so you don't ever have to worry about retesting in certain scenarios. Well, obviously they did at the Olympics, but at non-Olympic events, continental events and international ones, we've seen that they just kind of pay them. It's such a weird situation. It's so strange for what's happening in weightlifting in the last few years. Honestly, when I started weightlifting, I never thought this kind of stuff would happen. It just seems like such an insular thing. It might be due to the growing popularity of weightlifting that this is happening. Yeah. Unfortunately, what people must not mistake for happening here, though, I think, in our opinion, is that just because we see
don't lump my opinion in with yours.
No, I know this is your opinion too. Is that we see that, well, we see some nations who we would have typically considered the doping nations getting caught. There are still many nations who still dope. So don't demonize the nations who are getting caught just because they got caught. You know, just be careful with the rhetoric when you kind of talk about them. Same way with the Laurel Hubbard thing. No one's attacking Laurel individually. It's the situation that's been provided. Doping itself, the act of taking exogenous hormones, you know, for the morality and stuff like that. Just don't attack the athletes, and don't make the mistake of thinking just because current athletes are competing that they are clean. You know, there's a person going for a 500 kilo total who has tested positive before, who, you know, who gets no flack at the moment. Jesus. Who gets no flack right now, you know. But then we see like things like Toma being like, Romania got banned, they're banned from the Olympics, Toma won't make it, and people are kind of, you know, saying she was tested positive before anyway, so she's still on drugs. But we don't see that kind of rhetoric with different lifters, I suppose. It's a tricky situation.
That's the thing that really irks me about this Olympics, is that the rhetoric that's out there of like dirty nation or dirty athlete versus clean athlete, clean nation. Like, definitely some countries are just harder to get away with taking gear in. Who is anybody trying to, like, the virtue signaling and the shots that get fired across? Just everyone needs to chill out a small bit. Yeah. Everyone needs to just understand, like, yeah, look, you want to work towards clean sport. Clean sport would definitely be better for everyone involved. But stop attacking the people who are putting their life and soul into being like a good international athlete and realizing their potential just because you're not a great lifter. Yes.
If there's anything else you want us to see cover, then feel free to leave it below and we'll have a look at it and we can do a video on it for next Friday. If not,
we have the squat masterclasses are now up online. So you can go and you can view the masterclass. You obviously have to buy the masterclass. We'll put a link below. It's on a site called Teachable. So basically, you just put in your email address, make a password. It's very, very easy to do. And then you can just go back ad nauseum and view both the lecture itself and the Q&A which followed as many times as you want. It's a really nice platform. It's super simple to use. It will save where you stop viewing it, and it will give you like a completion rate. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.